Hello, everyone. Welcome to the In Real Time podcast. This is our first episode. We're super excited for the show. The purpose of the show is basically to bring a fresh perspective to the entertainment industry. And being that it's our first episode, I feel like we should start with some introductions so you know who we are. So I'll start off. My name is Mitchell, and I'm super excited to be one of the co-hosts on this show.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jacob. I'm also very excited to be one of the co-hosts on the show, and I'm really excited for the year and what we're going to be talking about. So, very excited.
Yeah, I just want to start off the episode by saying thank you guys so much if you're tuning in, for listening to our podcast. You could have chosen a lot of other film podcasts to listen to. We've decided to land on ours. We're super excited. We're super hopeful for this show, too. It's going to be great. So we're about 12 days into 2023 right now. You wouldn't really expect a lot of films to be releasing in January, but this year there's actually a lot of films releasing, and some have actually come out a lot so far. So I'm going to hand off to Jacob. He's going to kind of give us an overview of the box office, what it's looking like so far. So Jacob, take it away.
Yeah, so the box office this week actually had a lot of surprises. Avatar, obviously, still in first place. It's $45.8 million this weekend. I'm thinking it's going to ride that until Ant-Man comes out, probably as the number one spot. But at number two, it exceeded expectations by about $12 million. Megan brought in $30.4 million. It was projected about between like 16 to 20, depending on who you read and what people were doing the analytics. But that's just really surprising to me, and it just shows like things like Megan and like Smile, for example, how like the marketing campaigns are like the different approach to marketing movies like that, like the smaller, I guess, B movie type deals. Really goes to show how much it connects with people, and it's getting people back to the movies. So that's really awesome. And then number three, one of Mitchell's favorites on the year, Puss in Boots, brought in $13.5 million. It's holding really well for, besides Megan, it was the only movie with Avatar basically making any money. Number four, surprisingly, came out in limited release this weekend. A Man Called Otto brought up $4.2 million. I've heard okay things about that. I'm assuming it's drawing a larger, older crowd with that. And then five, rounding out the fifth spot of the week, was Black Panther with $3.5 million. So overall, people are going to the movies. Obviously, it's showing that they're still caring, obviously, with Avatar not dropping as much in recent weeks. And then Megan exceeding expectations. It makes me really excited for the smaller movies that are coming out this year, such as like Plane and other stuff like that coming out earlier in the year before the big stuff comes out. So I'm really excited to see what the box office looks like overall this year.
Yeah, just to add to that, I'm very impressed by Megan so far, but I do think there's a large audience to be found for those PG-13 horror film types. I know a lot of teenagers and a lot of younger audiences like tend to flock to those like it did with Smile. So I would be surprised if it doesn't go up from here on out. I feel like word of mouth, it's a pretty strong movie overall for one of those PG-13 horror types. So I feel like once word of mouth gets out and more people go and see it and like spread the word about how it's actually a pretty fun movie overall, I think we could see those numbers go up definitely.
Yeah, it's just showing like how usually January to March, what I've called it's called schlock month, basically just like whatever the studio's got, they're just going to put out, see what money it can make. But this year and last year we've seen with COVID, they're releasing better movies earlier in the year, which is really awesome because that it just shows they want people to be in the theaters, and if they're going to release good, solid films like this in January, it's going to help out overall for the entire year. So I'm really excited that Megan exceeded expectations this weekend.
Definitely. All right, so, we're in 2023, and the winter of the year is especially strong for award season. We have Oscars coming up, like in March, I think.
Yep.
We had the Golden Globes a few nights ago, and we have SAG and PGA. So let's kind of go over the Golden Globes so far. So first, I know there's been a lot of controversy about the show in the past, and a lot of viewership numbers have gone down over the years. So personally, you, Jacob, did you watch the show on the other night?
So I did watch the show the other night. I wasn't able to watch it live due to things going on in life, but I was able to watch it later. And overall, I thought the show, it got most of it correct. Obviously, the Golden Globes have a sort of reputation to kind of have a crazier, more bold picks, which can sometimes help or hurt a film's chances in award season. And I think this year, it was a pretty balanced give and take, but I think there's a little more surprises with the winners this year that I'm really excited to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess we should start off the conversation by saying that there's been a lot of different hosts over the years for the awards event. This year was Jared Carmichael. I love the guy. I think his debut feature on The Count of Three was excellent. I think he's a very funny guy, too. I've heard a lot of differing opinions on him as a host on this year's event show. So I want to get your perspective. How did you think he did for his first time?
I thought for what obviously the Hollywood Foreign Press took a year off last year because of revamping the committee, all allegations and such, all that. And I think, obviously, while they're not fully there, I think choosing him and the way he delivered his monologue and hosted the show, it's a great step in the right direction. I felt like he didn't go too far, but he said what needed to be said about Hollywood in the current state and the current state of the Golden Globes. So I was just really proud of how he was able to handle himself, and he was able to crack great jokes too, along with talking about serious stuff. So I think overall he did a really great job.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of what people were, kind of talking about online and in person, a few of my friends watched it actually, they were commenting on the fact that this year it seemed like they played people off from their speeches very
Yes.
early.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your perspective on that? I noticed like they kind of stopped it halfway through the show as some of the awards got bigger and bigger. So what's your perspective on that?
I think it honestly depends, because some of them, every awards or whoever wins their award, you don't really know what they're going to say obviously until they get up there. The speeches like Colin Farrell and Michelle Yeoh that were trying to cut off, they were in the middle of like a really like heartfelt like thank you to Hollywood, thank you for recognizing me speech. And I think while Michelle Yeoh, I like how she responded right away, but I just think it just made the show better because, like you said, halfway through they're like, all right, we're going to let these guys talk. Like, they have a lot to say. It's been a crazy 2 years. Like, this was the first basically like full year of like cinema in a long time. So I think they weren't used to having the Golden Globes. Obviously, they had taken a year off, so they weren't sure how the show was going to run. So I think they were just miscues and stuff. But as you said, as the show went on, it got way better.
Definitely. All right, so I guess we'll just hop in the categories here. First, we should go over a little overview of the TV categories. I mean, there were a few shows definitely that sweeped the categories.
Yeah.
Abbott Elementary, for a network sitcom, doing as well as it did, winning Tyler James Williams Best Actor, and then Quinta Brunson Best Actress. I mean, and it also won Best Television Series Musical or Comedy, which I was kind of expecting the edge to go to Only Murders or Wednesday due to the fact that those are very popular, kind of well-known shows. But this is a network sitcom. Most of those aren't usually well received or well done, so I'm very interested. I haven't seen the show, but
Neither have
it
I.
kind of made me want to check it out to see if it's really worth that.
Same. Seeing all those TV categories, I've heard a lot of people say, like, streaming has taken over the norm. Mostly, like, cable TV or sitcom television has kind of taken a dip over the past couple of years, and it's pretty prevalent. But it's, like, shows like these that show why, like, network and sitcoms are still able to be, like, profitable and done today. And I think it's a really good example of, like, they're figuring out the medium with streaming, and they're figuring out, good show. They're going to have good shows on TV, too. So I'm really excited to check it out. Like you said, I hadn't seen it. But after last night, I think I should probably give it a watch.
Yeah. And then Best Television Series Drama. I saw a lot of dissenting opinion in person and online about this. I mean, House of the Dragon taking it. I can see that because Game of Thrones is a very big staple, especially in pop culture today.
Yep.
But many people felt that Better Call Saul or Severance should take it. So what was your opinion on that category?
I can agree with the Better Call Saul or Severance take. I've never seen Severance, but again, like Abbott Elementary, I've just heard constant good things about it. House of the Dragon, I did watch fully last year. I did really enjoy it. I love that show a lot. I liked Game of Thrones. So that winning wasn't necessarily like a bad thing, but Better Call Saul, in my opinion, was probably the better show. That's just like an opinion of me because I just grew up like watching Breaking Bad, and I've watched Better Call Saul on TV since Breaking Bad ended. And it's just crazy because I saw a stat the other day from Discussing Film where I think it was believed like Better Call Saul's been nominated like 48 times over the course of its run at various award shows, and it's won 0 awards, which I think is just kind of crazy because the general consensus with people I talk to about Better Call Saul is that's like one of the best shows on television like ever. So it's just really shocking. I guess it didn't like connect with awards bodies in a weird way, but it was able to get enough recognition to get nominated. It's just odd. But again, like you said, Golden Globes sometimes make odd decisions. House of Dragon, not that big of a deal. Could have gone to either Severance or Better Call Saul, but overall I think it's just a fine pick. Yeah.
Yeah. I can understand where that perspective comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll just jump right into the motion picture category, starting with some of the smaller ones. So for Best Original Song, Natu Natu from RRR winning was a fan favorite overall. A lot of people seem to love that film. Yet to see it, but I've heard many great things about it.
Mm-hmm.
So was there any other song on this list that you felt should have taken it over Natu Natu?
I mean, I haven't seen RRR either, but again, with industry predictions, the steam, the longevity that this movie had, and just the outstanding, like, everybody I know like loves this song. So I felt like it was kind of like a no brainer here, and I just feel like probably that was the best choice they could have done right there for that category.
Yep, and then segueing into other music for this awards show, we had Best Original Score going to Justin Hurwitz for Babylon. I feel like, out of my personal opinion, out of all of these on this list, I felt like that was the one that definitely stood out to me over the years. And you have Carter Burwell for Banshees of Inisherin, which was a great score. Alexandra Desplat for Pinocchio from Guillermo del Toro was very magical, whimsical. But what was your perspective? Do you think there could have been a better pick?
Justin Hurwitz is just, I don't know, what he does when he composes is just something different to me. Because like La La Land, Whiplash, some of my favorite movies ever. So his music has always really like touched me in a different way than other scores. I can understand people's opinions for the Banshee's score, absolutely. I mean, it's beautiful. It just captures what that movie's all about. But I just think, Justin Hurwitz, he's won 4 Golden Globes, and he's composed 4 movies, which I think really shows how much they like him and how much talent he has. So I think Babylon here, when I found out that one, I was very excited, and I'm glad he was able to win that for score, because I thought it was the best song of the year.
I definitely do too. It was one of those scores that you hear it in the theater and you immediately want to listen to it on Spotify or iTunes afterwards. It's definitely one of those ones that can stand apart from the film itself.
Yeah.
So moving on to the acting categories, the supporting roles. So for Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture and Supporting Role, we had Ke Huy Quan from Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was a fan favorite. I was very happy personally to see that win. I felt out of all the supporting role performances, that was the one that kind of connected with the audience in a very emotional way.
Yeah.
Did it connect with you when you were watching Everything Everywhere All at Once that way?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just like everybody else, that scene where she's in the timeline when she's an actress and he's like, I would have loved just doing laundry and taxes with you. I feel like very embodies that character. And he's been very vocal about his journey in Hollywood, and I think this kind of comeback, kind of similar to Brendan Fraser in a way, I'm all for it. I think he's going to sweep every awards body that he's nominated in, at least, so I'm very excited to see his run and hopefully his Oscar speech once that comes in March. So I'm all for this. I'm very excited to see what he's going to say and what he's going to be able to do with this press and recognition.
Yeah, and I feel like his speech, even at the Golden Globes, was absolutely phenomenal. I loved how he kind of sought out Steven Spielberg, thanked him personally for his start in the career. And I loved how Steven Spielberg seemed kind of happy for him out in the crowd, just like looking on, like smiling and all of that. I thought it was a very touching moment. And he brought some really great discussion to the table about his journey as an actor, which was very fascinating to see. So then this one was a little bit, not controversial, but a lot of people didn't really either care for this one or they loved this one. Angela Bassett winning for Black Panther Wakanda Forever for supporting actress. What were your opinions on it overall?
Again, I think this is a Globes pick, if I'm going to be completely honest. I'm a big Carrie Condon backer. I think, in all honesty, that was like, for how her career has gone and what she's done in the industry, and for her to be in Banshees and just give a performance like that, I think that personally, that's my pick. I'm not opposed to Angela Bassett at all. Like, I wasn't mad or upset. I just was like, okay, that's fine. We can see where this goes. I don't think that hurts Carrie's chances or any of the other women in this category's chances, because for some reason, I guess women talking was just not in the mix for like early awards bodies, and now they're getting in like near the end with like BAFTAs and all that jazz. So I just think supporting actress is still very up in the air right now, but I'm perfectly fine with them giving it to Angela Bassett this year.
Yep, and I feel like as compared to the other roles on this list, I mean, Carrie Condon would have been phenomenal. I really also like Dolly De Leon for Triangle of Sadness. I feel like definitely Jamie Lee Curtis is great in Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I don't think she was really as special as winning this category. Same with Carey Mulligan. I think she was a great performance, and she said, but it really didn't wow me, the fact that the other two did. But I'm not upset about Angela Bassett winning. I just feel like sometimes I think the Globes go with the more popular pick than they do kind of judging based on performance itself, and I feel like this was definitely one of those instances.
I totally agree. I just think it's kind of a just because that movie obviously a lot around it with Chadwick Boseman. So I feel like not that it was like pity, but like it definitely adds to the narrative of that and her awards run, which is perfectly fine. That because she grieved in that movie and she grieved probably in real life and took a lot of that performance from her own like self within the situation. So again, if she ends up going and that's where they take it, totally okay. Not opposed by it. I'm just excited to see where the supporting actress race goes.
Yep, definitely. So for the next category, I know, do you like foreign films at all, or are you more of a mainstream kind of blockbuster?
Big foreign, yeah. Yeah.
Same here. Have you seen any of the films that were on the Best Motion Picture for non-English language?
So I've seen All Quiet, and Decision to Leave, and then Close isn't around us yet. I don't know. Have you seen Close? I didn't know if you've seen it.
I have not.
No. Okay. So Close isn't around us yet, and then Decision to Leave is a movie thing for the U.S. that didn't really show here, and I haven't had a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
So the only ones I've seen are All Quiet and RRR.
Yeah, those are kind of... I've seen All Quiet, and I think that was it, because Argentina 1985 I didn't really know existed until... I mean, Film Independent that I'm a member of sends out for your consideration emails with like different films on it, and they were pushing that one very heavily. And I was always kind of intrigued by it, because I think it is owned by Amazon. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I believe so, because they're
so I think,
pushing it hard.
Yep, so it must have been something really special for all of the push that it got. I honestly can't really commentate on this category because out of all the films I've only seen All Quiet, which I thought was phenomenal, but I'm pretty proud that Argentina 1985 won. Good on the filmmakers, good on the cast.
Absolutely.
They probably made something very special, so good for them.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I just shows like obviously that's the one you got to watch out for because that was kind of under the bar. I forget what festival it premiered at this past year, but I know it premiered this summer. But out of all those that I haven't seen, I'm actually Close. I haven't seen it yet, but just based off of research and like positive reviews people see, I think that'll probably either that or Decision to Leave will probably go for non-English at the Oscars, at least in my opinion, because they just feel more like what the Academy would go for. So I'm really excited to see when Close gets here and then eventually Decision to Leave. I can get around to that. It should be a good watch and contender as well for that category.
Definitely. I'm really looking forward to Close. Looks like a phenomenal film. And I'm really happy that A24 is kind of picking up the new, like more foreign films based on their other filmography.
Right.
It's something that kind of Neon has done with Worst Person in the World and different foreign films like that. And I think it's a very big market that A24 is kind of tapping into, so it's good on them.
Right. It's just exciting for them as a company, too, because the recognition they have, I feel like, among the film community is high. And now that they're getting into foreign films, and especially if they produce them and distribute like they have with other movies, I think they're going to be just as fine as they do here. So I'm really excited to see where it goes and what movies we're going to get out of it.
Yeah. All right, so next category, Best Motion Picture Animated. We had Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Going into this, everyone kind of predicted Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, but other people were kind of predicting either Puss in Boots or Marcel the Shell. When I heard Marcel the Shell kind of got the Animated Feature Award, I was kind of shocked, but also happy. It's a phenomenal film. I just didn't really know it could be considered animated feature. I do have to give credit where credit's due that this is one of those years where they did not just automatically hand it to Disney. I mean, Turning Red was nominated, but it's kind of, this is the category that's kind of made me the most upset with award shows over the years because from the animated or the Academy Award members admitting they don't even watch the films and just choose the Disney or Pixar one. And then like the last few years, I loved Flea last year and I loved Wolfwalkers the year before. Two excellent examples of animation, 2D especially. And they kind of just handed it to Disney both of these years. It kind of just made me more aware of like how animation as an art form is getting more and more given to Disney, and it's not really rewarding the films that give it like more of a risk. So I'm very happy, honestly, that Pinocchio did win. Do I think it's the best out of this list? Not as particularly, but I think it's a great film. I think if I had to award it, Marcel the Shell would definitely be in consideration, or Puss in Boots. What were your thoughts on this category?
I'm very on the same page as you. I liked Pinocchio a lot. But like I said, Marcel the Shell, just I connected like that. I loved my whole theater experience with that. Like I thought such a simple idea, but they like gave like real beef to it. Like it just felt like they really cared about what they were doing, and that I'm riding with Marcel for award season. But I wouldn't be mad if Puss in Boots or Pinocchio won, because again, this year in animation, like you said, only one Disney movie, and it just shows how much great animation is outside of just Disney in general. So I'm really excited that they're kind of the wave is finally shifting, and they're not considering it a medium, they're just considering it a whole different. Well, it is a medium, just not a genre, which is awesome. So I'm very excited.
Definitely, definitely. And then Colin Farrell winning for Best Performance by an Actor in a Musical or Comedy. Out of all of the list with Diego Calva, Daniel Craig, Adam Driver, and Ralph Fiennes, did you ever doubt that Colin Farrell would take it home, or did you have a different kind of pick for this category?
I didn't really have a doubt. Colin Farrell, his career is incredible to me, in all honesty, just because how he started out with that Reputation thing, and then kind of, in a funny way, Martin McDonagh kind of reworked his career kind of in Bruges, and Bruges was his like big like, yeah, I can do this. So it's awesome to see that it's kind of come full circle, and Martin's able to give like Colin this role. You know, he really immersed himself into it. I think it's a perfectly fine if it won at the Oscars. I mean, the Best Actor category is just insanely stacked this year. So out of all these five, I just feel like he was the best this year. I do see a case. There are a lot of great people that love The Menu, and I can understand if the Ralph Fiennes aspect, because it really was when I've seen it twice. He's just out of this world, and that just how he encapsulates that character. And I can also see some people, although being as divisive as it is, people that love Babylon really, really love Babylon, which is not a bad thing at all. And considering it was his first major role, if they would have given it to him, give him some boost, I wouldn't have been upset, because that's like Globes. They have the two categories for a reason. So Colin Farrell, huge ups for them giving it to him, but I wouldn't have been mad if Ralph or Diego would have won either.
Exactly. And then keeping in line with Everything Everywhere All at Once, got a ton of nominations this year and won both Ke Huy Quan an award and then also Michelle Yeoh. So looking into this award season, I know especially when the film came out, everyone was pushing Michelle Yeoh for an Oscar automatically, even though it came out last April. Throughout the year, was there any doubt in your mind from any other film that you saw that a different Best Actress would be chosen?
Not after I saw Everything Everywhere. I went into the year a big Babylon guy, obviously. I feel like a lot of people were very, very excited. So, obviously, having not seen Babylon until the end of the year a couple weeks ago, I was either thinking it's going to be like her or Margot Robbie up there. But obviously, how things have turned out, film has come out, opinions have differed. I think Michelle Yeoh is perfectly right there. Great pick, obviously. I think the best choice out of all these five. And I'm really excited to see whether awards bodies, because Golden Globes are the only ones that really separate. So Cate Blanchett and her, I feel like are the either or toss up. It's just no holds bar who they pick. So it's just going to be exciting to see what road or what narrative the bodies start to take. And I think this is a strong start for Michelle Yeoh, because Golden Globe, like, she is, in my opinion, like, she is just due for this, and it's so awesome to see it. So I'm just really happy they picked her and not something different.
Yep, speaking of Cate Blanchett, I mean, I had no doubt in my mind going into the next category, which was the drama pick for actress, that she would win out of all of those. I think nominating Ana de Armas for Blonde was kind of a risky move, considering kind of the reputation that film definitely has.
Yes.
I don't think there was any kind of guarantee she would have won for that. And then the other performances, Olivia Colman is great in basically everything she's in. I heard that Empire of Light didn't really get the momentum it needed, and then Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans wasn't anything really particularly special. So I think it does come down in the end to Michelle or Cate for Best Actress at the Oscars. It's going to be very interesting. They're both very different performances.
Yes.
One's more dramatic, in your face, very like commanding. The other is more, while it's muted, it is also commanding, but it just kind of gives a different perspective. So it's going to come down to awards voters, I think, choosing one of the two. It's a very hard category this year. Like, it's not one of those years where you can just choose one of them and say that one needs to win. It's like, either way it goes, it would be a great win, in my opinion. What do you think?
I mean, just like you said, either or, totally okay with. The one thing I was very surprised about with this category was, I think I'm just opinion. I think Ana de Armas took Danielle Deadweiler's spot, which was really intriguing because I don't know if you saw Till this year. Did you?
I heard a lot about
it. Did? Okay, so I saw it, and when it first came out, everybody was like, "Give this woman," like, I understand Michelle Yeoh, but they're like, "This is just miles ahead of Grief." And I went into it thinking like, okay movie, but she could be really good, and she did impress me a lot, and I'm very surprised that I didn't see her here when I've seen her nominated at a ton of critics groups, so I was very shocked to see Ana de Armas in here, like you said, especially with speculation and just how overwhelmingly positive Danielle Deadweiler's performance got. It's just, I wonder if they didn't watch it, or maybe it just wasn't their thing. I'm just intrigued to see if that affects any voting down the line. So we shall see. It's just very interesting.
Yeah, and then segueing into a category of acting that really got a lot of flack, I feel. This is one of the most controversial categories, I feel like, that came out of the Golden Globes. Best performance by an actor in a motion picture drama going to Austin Butler for Elvis. Yep. I think going in, you knew it was going to be between Austin Butler or Brendan Fraser for The Whale. I think all the rest of those on the list were kind of just given nominations. They kind of just gave them out.
Right.
But what were your opinions? Because my opinion is Austin Butler is great as Elvis.
Yep.
I really think Brendan Fraser was phenomenal in The Whale, but I can see how they kind of went, especially with Brendan Fraser's past, not to get too much into it, but him kind of not showing up to the awards, making it well known he wanted nothing to do with it, kind of factored in, I feel like. So what would you have picked for this category? Would you have left it the same, or would you have picked someone else?
I'm a big Brendan Fraser comeback narrative guy. So I was I'll say it, I was a little upset. But like you said, I do understand probably where they're coming from. He just kind of, he did basically kind of like just shit on them. Like overall, which from his point of view, totally valid. He's perfectly fine. Totally understand why he didn't go. And if that factored into it, then I can understand because, there's a little mutual thing going on. That's cool. Won't get into it, but I can understand how that factored into their decision. Austin Butler is fine. I liked Elvis. I think he did a great job. He's not that high up on my list overall. I think he's about like 4 or 5 spot for me. But it just it's okay. I'm okay with it.
Yep, I think it's kind of the best case scenario we could have gotten from that.
Yeah, it's just gonna be one of those things to see because this could go a Bohemian Rhapsody route, which I'm really, really hoping it doesn't. Which, not dogging that movie. If you like that movie, it's awesome. I had a great time. It's just one of those things that I feel like musicals are very Academy baity films. Like they eat that up. So I just am wondering if Brendan Fraser's going to overtake, Elvis Presley himself, or if they're just going to ride with, that's a person we've grown up with, historical figure, very big connection, and he played a great job. And I wonder if that will drive voters to just be like, yeah, he made me feel, like kid again. Like, it's awesome. So it's just, again, like supporting actress, it's going to be really interesting to see which way the votes and awards go to down the stretch.
Definitely. I think it's very interesting that you compared it to Bohemian Rhapsody because they are both awards-heavy films. I think that Bohemian Rhapsody has a slight edge because it was not directed by Baz Luhrmann, and I know his style is not easily the most accessible to normal audience members. So I think that might have hampered the awards chances this film got greatly. I think that Austin Butler would have been nominated regardless, but I think this could have gotten a lot more nominations from the Golden Globes than it probably got. Going on to Best Screenplay, I mean, Banshees of Inisherin taking it again. Out of all of these, was there a script that you felt kind of rivaled or surpassed it? Personally, I think that out of all of these, Tar was the one that rivaled this the most. The way it was written, especially those scenes, or especially that one scene with her in the classroom towards the beginning of the film, was very well written, very convincing. So what were your opinions? I'm
very much on the same wavelength as you. I thought Tar... I haven't really talked to a lot of people about Tar, but Tar was one of my favorite movies that came out last year. I really enjoyed it. It's paced so well, like you said, written so well. You don't feel like you're in there for 2:40, I believe. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Yeah. It goes by like that. Like it's awesome. And I do believe Everything Everywhere could possibly have a case, just because how many elements are in that movie and how many different scenes and shots and what they used and different cinematography that you could go for it because it's just so flashy and so big, but they were able to really keep it together. So again, like a lot of these categories, it's going to be very different to see if what screenplays appeal to which bodies the most. But I think it's a really three-way. Tar, Everything Everywhere, Banshees are kind of all there. And I also wouldn't be surprised if they would have given this to Steven Spielberg based on the other winners that we'll talk about in probably a couple minutes. Because it's Steven Spielberg. That's just kind of how it is, I feel like, right now, which is nothing against that. That's one of the best filmmakers ever. But I just think it's going to be like a three-way horse going through the rest of awards season for those three for screenplay.
Yep, and speaking of Steven Spielberg, going on to the next category, Best Director. I mean, I felt like they were going to obviously give it to Steven Spielberg going in. Mm-hmm. You could have made the case for Daniel Scheinert, or you could have made the case for James Cameron, too, with Avatar. Yep. Was there really any doubt that Steven Spielberg would take this in your mind? Here, not a doubt. Just because the Globes, they love him. Like, they unanimous. Which is nothing wrong with that, again. I was fully convinced, and that's perfectly fine. I loved The Fabelmans. I thought it was a great movie. But like you said, I'm a big... The Daniels direction, to me, was just otherworldly in the way that they did it and edited it. So again, I think the Daniels are probably going to really ride the rest of the way. I'm not a big Baz Luhrmann for Elvis director guy. I don't mind his style, but I don't think it was anything that was I wasn't blown away by his directing choices. I thought they were fine. I'm just surprised that he's showing up some places and others not. And then James Cameron, it's James Cameron. He's going to be there. He could surprise someone at a different awards body, but I think he's just going to be nominated but not really win any awards. So Steven Spielberg, it's fine for the Globes, but the Daniels, I think, will have it for the rest of the way. Yeah, I can see that take too. I think that what you said about Baz Luhrmann is interesting because I don't mind his style either, but I think it's his first movie in a while, so if you don't go in knowing what he's made before that, if you haven't seen Moulin Rouge or experienced any of his other films, you're not really going to connect with his directorial style, which I think kind of distanced himself from the other nominees.
Right.
And then moving into Best Picture, Musical or Comedy, these are the last two categories. I feel like this one went more smoothly than the Drama category, which we'll get into in a little bit. Yep. But, I mean, Banshees of Inisherin taking it, I mean, I feel like it was definitely between Banshees, Everything Everywhere, or Glass Onion for this. I feel like Babylon has a dedicated fan base, but I don't think it's awards-friendly as they were hoping for. And then Triangle of Sadness is a great film, but I feel like it's too out there and artsy to get any major awards recognition. Did you have any differing opinions, or do you think it was...
Yeah, I mean, again, overall, perfectly, very on the same thing. Banshees... I'm cool with. Banshees are Everything Everywhere. It's just overall, it's a great year for movies. There's a lot of things that either or I'm totally okay with winning. I do know there was a lot of people that really wanted Everything Everywhere here because they just want to help. They wanted to help its push down the line. I don't think it losing musical or comedy is going to really affect its track, especially if it's to Banshees, because I feel like while they're very different films, they're very on the same level of popularity and acclaim. So again, Banshees, I'm perfectly okay. I'm glad Martin McDonagh's finally going around. Excited to see where it goes. But yeah, Banshees, it's an awesome pick. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and then segueing into Best Motion Picture Drama, I'm gonna let you go with your opinion first on this one. Okay. What did you feel about The Fabelmans winning?
Again, it's kind of a thing with the Globes. Usually, it's been a trend the past couple of years. Whoever wins director, usually their pictures picked in drama. A good example, Sam Mendes surprised everybody that year at the Globes when he won director, and then 1917 ended up winning drama. And everybody was like, oh. And then that pushed it that. They thought that was number one until Parasite finally came around. But the Globes have a really weird combination of it's always director and picture go together usually. So I knew it was probably going to happen. If I'm going to be honest, Tar would have been great. That's awesome. I would have been fine with that pick. But I really for here, just for me and just how it's affected the year, I would have been totally okay with Top Gun winning this award. In all honesty,
yeah.
What he kind of brought back what a true blockbuster is supposed to be, and it was actually like incredible. And he has an Oscar-worthy scene with Val Kilmer in his office. So I just think for here at the Globes, if Top Gun would have won, I would have been like, that's incredible, like great for them. So overall, not that happy, but I can understand why. So yeah, but Tar or Top Gun, those would have been my picks.
Yeah, definitely. Overall, I think that the Golden Globes this year definitely had some wild picks, but I feel like compared to years past, it was more subdued or in line with what everyone basically thought. I think besides a few rare exceptions. So now that the Golden Globes are out of the way, how about you take it over for SAG and PGA? I'm going to be honest, I have basically up to little to no idea about these two awards shows. So how about you take it away?
So SAG, I think, is going to really surprise you by some of these nominees. So I'll just go through, say who's nominated. We can give our opinions on who's there, who's not there. To start out, we're going to do outstanding performance by a female actor in a supporting role. Starting off, Angela Bassett. Perfectly fine with me. I'm okay with that. She's been everywhere. I'm okay with her in the 5. One I'm very excited about, Hong Chow for The Whale. She got BAFTA long list a couple weeks ago. Seeing her pop up here for SAG, it's great for that movie's chances. And then we got Carrie Condon again. I was talking about Carrie earlier. 4, Jamie Lee Curtis. I think that's just a done deal now. Even though she probably won't win, she's just going to be in that category regardless. And then, thankfully, very happy, Stephanie Hsu was the last slot for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So we got 2 Everything Everywhere girls for supporting, which I'm really excited about. And overall, I think I'm perfectly okay with this being the 5 at the Oscars. I think it's awesome, like a great lineup. You pick each movie that is, for me, incredible on the year. Do you have any thoughts, or do you think someone else should slide in and take someone's spot from this list?
Out of all of these, I think this is the strongest list of female supporting actor we could have asked for. I think that Hong Chow for The Whale is an especially good pick. I wish the Golden Globes had kind of given her recognition for that.
Absolutely.
And I'm very happy to see Stephanie Hsu for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think that performance is undeniably one of the best supporting performances of the year. I am extremely hopeful she gets Oscar buzz for that, so I would be extremely happy if any of those 2 won. But really, it's a strong list. You have a lot of good performances on here, so I wouldn't be too upset with how it goes either way.
All right. Okay, so for next, we got the supporting role by a male actor. First up, we have Paul Dano here for The Fabelmans. Perfectly okay with that. He was my favorite part of that movie. I'm a big Paul Dano guy. I really liked how he played the dad. It's very different from the characters we usually see him play. So it was really nice to see a more relaxed, like, parental approach, which I think is totally okay. Brendan Gleeson, number 2 for Banshees. Awesome. No complaints. Barry Keoghan, again, no complaints. I'm glad he's getting the push now. I thought all three of the men were perfectly capable, and I'm glad they're all showing up here. And then obviously Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then this was a little surprising to me. The last spot went to Eddie Redmayne in The Good Nurse. I have not seen The Good Nurse, so I can't really say if this is a bad pick. Obviously, it connected well with SAG voters, so I'm okay if he's good in it. I'll have to check it out. I can't really give an opinion on if he should be switched out or not, but that list overall, okay with. Again, Eddie Redmayne, don't know. He could be switched out, just depending on I haven't seen the movie. But overall, I think that's a great list. If you have anybody that you think could move in or out of here, do you have any thoughts?
I think Eddie Redmayne is the weakest pick for this category overall. I think they could definitely slide someone in there. I feel like if I had to choose, I mean, there's 2 Banshees performances in here that are great. It's very difficult to choose the one that I would pick to win the award out of those 2. They were both so good in different ways. I think I would give the edge to Barry Keoghan for his performance because it was so insane and different. I mean, I love Brendan Gleeson, but it seems like he kind of plays the same character in every movie he's in,
right?
Or especially in McDonough movies. So it's kind of like it's great, but Barry kind of did something different, and I applaud that.
Yeah, I thought it very different than what he normally does, and the way he delivered towards the end of the movie, the way he delivered some of his lines, I thought were like, oh, like so genuinely and heartfelt. So I'm really glad to see him pop up in here. For the next category, we got outstanding performance by a female actor in a leading role. And this might shock you to see someone that's not here. So first, we got Kate Blanchett and Tar, perfectly fine with. Viola Davis, I'm also okay with. I watched The Woman King. I thought it was very good. Exceeded my expectations because I didn't really know about the story, didn't really know the vibe. I just knew the general consensus, and I was very surprised by that. For SAG, I'm very surprised that Ana de Armas is here. Not that the movie obviously has... We won't get into it, but we know, most people know the gist of the movie. I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but I do think she was obviously the best part of that movie, and like she actually, in my opinion, gave a great performance for what she was given. I don't know if you watched Blonde, but I thought if it's like a really weird give and take with this movie because some people are like, we really shouldn't be like appreciating this, but she's like the only reason that movie is like watchable in the first place. So it's just kind of hard to see what awards bodies are doing. They're kind of splitting, but I'm okay with her here. And then Danielle Deadweiler for Till for the 4th spot. She pops back up again after not being at the Globes. And then the last spot is Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And now, the big red flag here is where, in my opinion, is where's Michelle Williams at?
True.
I'm just kind of... Because SAG usually... Like, Paul Dano was up here. SAG usually loves Spielberg. And I feel like Michelle Williams has been, like, the person over Paul Dano. So I'm really surprised. I wonder what their thought process was. I'm assuming she either got switched out for Viola Davis or Ana de Armas. Obviously, I'm not sure which one. But I'm really intrigued why they thought either of those two were better than her. So we'll see. I wonder how this affects her chances. What do you think was the reasoning behind this decision?
You know, I can't really say the reasoning. It's just very odd to me that for a movie that's as awards friendly as it is, that they wouldn't choose to nominate her.
Right.
I think out of this list, Kate Blanchett or Michelle Yeoh again. I think it's between those two. I think Danielle might, as you said, deliver a great argument, but I think that for mainstream and kind of pick purposes, going with Kate or Michelle is kind of a safe bet at this point.
And yeah, I mean, I think, again, like we said with the Globes, it's just going to be two horse race for that for the rest of the year. So for male actor in a leading role for SAG, this one also actually has a surprise as well. So for the list, we have Austin Butler and Elvis. Assumed he was going to be there. Colin Farrell for Banshees. Awesome. Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Incredible again. Bill Nighy in Living. He was nominated at the Golden Globes. I haven't seen this movie. I don't know if you have been able to, but I've just heard nothing but great things about that. I think it's perfectly fine if he's there, just based on everyone I've talked to that's seen it. They're like, yeah, he absolutely deserves it. So I'm cool with that if he rides out the rest of the year with them. That's perfectly fine. And then the really big surprise for me was Adam Sandler for Hustle was the 5th spot. Now, I'm not necessarily mad at this. It's another one of those things where how did he get in here and was considered such a stacked actor category, and then for Uncut Gems was considered a weaker year, and he just kind of was drug under the radar. So I'm wondering if this is kind of like a redemption thing for them, because SAG was the one that kind of like, he didn't get SAG, then it's over, and then he didn't get it. So I wonder if this is like a thing like, hey, we recognize, how it was. You produced a great movie this year. We're going to give you that 5th spot. Because in all honesty, that 5th spot for how stacked the category is for people that could win is very ambiguous to me. And who will get in that 5th spot at the Oscars. I thought it would have been Tom Cruise here, in all honesty. But again, Adam Sandler, totally okay with. What do you think about Adam Sandler and just the rest of the list in general?
I think that Adam Sandler is kind of a weird pick. I have heard of Hustle. I don't remember. I haven't seen it. I don't remember if it's positive or negative connotation to it. And if it is a good performance, I'm just very stunned that they decided to choose this one to kind of nominate and push him for this award over than Uncut Gems.
Right.
I think that Uncut Gems is absolutely phenomenal. Adam Sandler in peak form. I kind of doubt that Hustle is... I mean, I haven't seen it, but I kind of doubt that it would be able to rival that.
Right. I did watch Hustle when it came out this summer. As of right now on Letterboxd, it has a 3.6, and then a Rotten Tomatoes score, I believe, in the 70s. So it's not like incredible, but like it's one of those things like Adam Sandler doing drama again. He needs to keep doing this because he's great at it. So overall, it's like a lukewarm, feel-good movie, but people, I guess, are loving Adam Sandler in it. So if he rides the rest of this wave, I'm totally cool with that. But it's intriguing to see what the rest of the year is going to look like for nominees for that 5th spot. And then this is a SAG category just in general for the next one. It's an outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture. Basically just kind of like an ensemble thing to recognize all the actors if not. And for the first one, we have Babylon. I'm okay with that. There are a lot of characters in there that I really liked. Some I didn't. But overall, great group to pick. Banshees, that was a lock for this in my opinion. Everything Everywhere, again, awesome. Fabelmans, okay with. And then Women Talking, I haven't seen the movie. Obviously, it's been known to have a great ensemble for the film. So for this category, since it's a SAG thing, I can't think of another 5, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me neither.
That would go here. Maybe, depending on how you view cast, you possibly could have put Top Gun in here, just depending on how you're figuring ensemble. That's kind of a stretch. But Top Gun is really the only thing that comes to my mind that could be here. But I perfectly am fine with this list. I think they picked the top 5 for me.
Yeah. I think that definitely out of these, I mean, thinking of ensemble cast, you want to picture all the memorable actors and characters that they played. Mm-hmm. I think that out of all of these, Babylon was the one that really had, especially in the beginning portion of the film where it was going behind the scenes of how a movie was made, and then especially later on in the film as it went on and on with the characters, you were just introduced to so many of them, and they were all so vibrant and fun. It was just a very enjoyable experience. I feel like the cast was excellent in there, so I can see how that could take it. I feel like you could definitely have slotted, like you said, Top Gun for maybe the Fabelmans. I feel like the Fabelmans had the weakest ensemble cast out of all of these. I haven't seen Women Talking. I have a Film Independent screener sitting on my computer that I've been meaning to get around to, but I just haven't. But looking at the cast, that's a great stack of female actresses that I really think could push this also.
Yeah, I'm really excited because they've kind of they're doing like the Nomadland approach, which obviously worked for Nomadland. So I'm really intrigued to see how with like putting it out this late, if it gets a surge because everybody watches it right before voting, because voting is just open and it's just released wide. So I'm really intrigued to see where Women Talking goes for the rest of the award season. And then the last motion picture category that SAG has is just outstanding action performance by stunt ensemble, basically just best stunts for a movie. So first, Avatar: Way of the Water, no brainer, I think. Yeah, it's just what he does. The Batman, I'm so happy this is here. Batman, it just feels like it's like, obviously it's a comic book movie, but like it's just the way Matt Reeves did it. It just feels like a prestige movie with a superhero character as a focal point. So I'm so glad to see this here. Black Panther, again, no complaints. That movie was full of stunts, and especially just for this year, how the category is, I'm fine with that. Top Gun, kind of like Avatar. All the Avatar, you see computer enhancements and the practical achievements they had was incredible. Yeah. So that's fine there. And then I know you didn't. Did you say you saw The Woman King? I wasn't sure if you had seen it this year.
I did not. No.
Okay. So I had seen The Woman King, so I'm perfectly fine with this being the 5th spot. Viola Davis crushed it. Like the fight choreography and the way how the battles happen were incredible. Open field, wide shots. They were up close and personal. So I'm not really have any thoughts on the stunts. I think these are all good. If you have anything to add, that's cool. But overall, I think that's a solid 5. I can't really think of. I mean, if they would have not another Marvel route, possibly Doctor Strange. Not really, but just kind of a thing. Just thinking of other action movies. In all honesty, I know this might kind of sound odd, but I don't know if you saw Ambulance, but I would be cool with Ambulance here. It's a very it's a fine movie. Like I think it's really good for what it is. But like the way he uses drones and the practical stunts in it, I thought was like finally he's like figured it out. He's figuring it out how to do it.
Yeah.
So I would have been fine with ambulance there, but again, kind of just reaching just to think of other ideas. But again, this 5, I'm totally cool with. Very excited to see which one wins.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with these 5. I mean, judging from what I've heard about The Women King and its action sequences, I am 100% fine with that being nominated. I think that stunt ensemble generally could go to Top Gun Maverick. I mean, the things they were able to do with that film were insane, so I think that would be kind of the slight push I would give. But there's really no film on this list that I would kind of replace. I think they're all perfect as is.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where that one goes. And that is the SAG nominees for this year. Now we're going to transition to the PGA 10. If you guys are unfamiliar with what the PGA 10 is, it's the Producers Guilds of America. Basically, it's like Best Picture Junior, if you think about it. That's how I look at it. Usually, majority of the time, whatever's on PGA, a good chunk of those is what's nominated for Best Picture. It's a really good indicator. And it's not that it didn't have any surprises, but I'm glad some films were on this list for all 10. And I'm going to read them off, and then we'll give some thoughts. And they do go in alphabetical order. So number 1 for the PGA, Avatar, Way of Water. I'm okay with that. That's fine. I expect it to be in Best Picture. 2, Banshees of Inisherin. Again, perfectly lock. 3, kind of a little bit surprised, but not really. Black Panther 2 being here. I could see other people swapping Black Panther out with movies that are probably the 11 to 14 range, like right on the cusp of getting in. So that's going to be intriguing to see if that helps it with its Oscar chances. 4 is Elvis. Okay with that. Perfectly fine. 5, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Cool. Great. Thank God it's here. 6 is The Fabelmans, which again, assumed it would be here. 7, which I'm perfectly fine with seeing here, didn't expect it, was Glass Onion. Which really hasn't it's performed fine, but I don't think what Netflix was expecting it to do. So I'm very glad, I guess, they got into the PGA, because it seems like Janelle Monáe has kind of fell off the supporting actress wave, which kind of really hurt it. But getting it in PGA helps it a lot for people to go watch it. 8, Tar, awesome, cool, great. Number 9, Top Gun Maverick. That's fine. I hope that's in my Best Picture lineup. And then number 10, which I'm very, very happy about, is The Whale that got in the last spot. Kind of like Glass Onion, but not in a similar way, but kind of just awards pathway. The Whale started out kind of a little slow, because Venice, everybody was like, Brendan Fraser's going to sweep, no doubt in our minds. And I was like, okay, hop on that train. And then Austin Butler wins, because it kind of just, as award season came around, it got Brendan Fraser, it got makeup, and people were thinking it would get screenplay, but it's gotten it some places, has gotten it in others. So I'm glad. I'm hoping this is the late surge that we kind of see from the smaller movies as we get into this portion of the year. That's usually what happens. So I'm very glad to see The Whale getting at the 10th spot, because I really wanted my Best Picture lineup, and I was very iffy just based on its performance so far. But I'm very, very, very happy with this list overall. I'm very happy with The Whale getting in here. Do you have any things you would switch, possibly with Black Panther, or any of these on here that you would take out and put in, or just general thoughts?
You know, I think I didn't personally care for Black Panther, but I think it does have a specific audience that loves it and cares for it very much. So I'm happy for them that it got nominated for this. Do I think it's going to go places come Oscar season if it does get nominated? No, I don't think it will. I think that other movies will sweep. Out of this list, really, there's really nothing I would replace. I'm happy that Glass Onion got on here. As you said before, it's a shame that this fantastic movie is underperforming on Netflix. I think they really hurt themselves by not giving it a proper theatrical release. It's a very theater experience film. It's not like something you would find on Netflix where it's Netflix type quality. It's very well done. And I think that, you know, Netflix bringing it for a week-long engagement over like Thanksgiving week or whatever really hurt its momentum, I think, because I feel like all the people that wanted to see it either saw it on that week or were complaining about it afterwards that they couldn't find it for another month. And I think the momentum kind of died out. So I think that kind of hurt them a little bit. Out of all of these choices, though, I think there's really nothing wrong here. I think that I don't know how many do they pick? Just one in this
Yeah,
category,
they pick.
or
It's just like Best Picture. So
okay,
they're always kind of different in what the Oscars pick, but they're usually very similar to what is nominated. It just depends on the
mm-hmm.
taste. In all honesty, I have no clue what they would pick. To
Yeah,
be honest, um, Banshees is a very PGA thing. I'm okay with that. Tar could also be a very big possibility. I know that's not as high. I know it's on people's best picture list, but it's not as high. But just for PGA, like standards and taste, I would be surprised to see Tar win. And then a surprise, just because of again like taste. But if Everything Everywhere took this,
mm-hmm.
I would be convinced it'd swing Best Picture at the Oscars. Um,
Yeah,
for the one for the There are two movies I'm surprised weren't here, just based off of performance and just kind of late surges. All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't know if that. I'm surprised it's not here. I don't know how the rules work with foreign movies because I feel like off the top of my head, I could totally be wrong because I could just be blanking. I don't remember seeing a lot of foreign movies in general on the PGA over the years. Maybe there's rules to it. And then the other one, obviously, just kind of late surge, Women Talking. Maybe they didn't get around
mm-hmm.
to it. Maybe they weren't able to see it. But those are the main two that not surprising, not really upset that they're not here, but kind of wondering if they're just like right there because just of performances over the past couple months.
Yep. And I think that Women Talking especially came out in an odd time of the year for awards chances. Feels like the end of the month of December either helps a movie. Like I know 1917 I think came out in the same exact time frame with a limited release in December and then went wide in January, and then the awards momentum kind of pushed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were hoping for something like that, but I don't think it's necessarily the same situation.
Right.
I mean, on one hand you have a very audience friendly awards film, on the other it's a very kind of main focused drama that I don't think a lot of audiences want to sit through.
Right.
So I wish we could have seen that on here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it could have, but I understand kind of how it didn't. I think if I had to choose 3 films on here that I think could win, I would choose either Banshees, Everything Everywhere, or Top Gun. I feel like Top Gun definitely could take it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it has a lot of momentum. I think it's one of the most beloved movies from the last year. And I think that a lot of this comes down to not only what members of the voting body think. I think it comes down to also popular opinion sometimes, as much as you don't want to admit it. I think that audience sway really influences things like this.
Right.
So, I mean, you have a dedicated fan base behind Avatar, of course, a large fan base, and you have one behind Black Panther, but those are very focused kind of movements behind them. I think Top Gun appealed to everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of people saying, you know, my parents never go to the movies, and we all went, and they absolutely loved it. I think it has a wide appeal. I think that could help its chances.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said on Top Gun. I didn't really think about that, but just in general, kind of you said audience appeal and word of mouth really took this movie to, I think, heights that the world honestly wasn't expecting. So it just goes to prove what word of mouth can do. So that's the PGA 10.
All right, so everyone, welcome back to the podcast episode. It was a great discussion about the Golden Globes, SAG, and PGAs, and now we're going to do a little closing activity. The year has kind of come to an end. We're a little bit into 2023 now, but we're kind of nearing the end. We neared the end of the year, actually. So we were going to do a little fun exercise. We all say our top 4 favorites of 2022. I've brought on one of my friends, Liam. How you doing, Liam?
Hi, guys. I'm doing great. I'm doing great right now.
All right, so Liam, how about you take it away, Liam?
All right. So, best movies of 2022. This was a bit difficult because best 4 movies. I only watched probably like 6 movies. Number 1, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was the number 1 best movie of the year for me. I had a lot of fun watching it. There were a lot of ups and downs. It was so great. But then when it came out, like on streaming services, I wanted to watch it again. I really did. But I didn't because I was afraid it was going to ruin it for me, like not seeing it in theaters. So I haven't watched it again, even though I've really wanted to. So I'll save it for a special day. Then coming in at number 2, Avatar 2. Avatar 2 was my number 2. Again, a lot of fun watching this movie. I didn't want to leave the theater. I wanted to live with the Avatar people. So that one, it really had a hold on me, and I wanted to stay there forever, but I couldn't. Number three, Banshees of Inisherin. This one was a curveball. I didn't know what to expect going into it, honestly. My dad just likes Irish movies and like, or whatever. I guess they're Irish. Anyways, so we just sat down and watched that movie and had a lot of fun watching it. It was surprising. I don't know if you guys have seen it, definitely, but
Hmm.
I was like, bro,
Yeah.
what? Like, his fingers? What's up with that? The donkey? Like, crazy stuff there. But it was just a really cool movie, and it's refreshing, and I love Colin Farrell. So he's a great guy. Number four. This one was Bullet Train. I picked Bullet Train for number four. Again, fun movie. I
Nice.
like
I like
fun
that.
movies. I like to have fun when I'm watching movies.
Mhm.
And these were just my favorite movies. Any
All right,
thoughts?
sounds like a great list. And when you mentioned Avatar, we actually did see it in 3D, me and you. So how do you
Oh yeah.
think? Do you think Avatar would have been good in 2D, or do you think 3D is the way to go for that movie?
I don't know, because I saw the first one in 2D. That was pretty lackluster for me. Um, but yeah, 3D definitely added to it. I don't think it wouldn't have been a bad movie if it was in 2D, but 3D definitely just added to the experience. Um, and I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with the series. I think it could be like as good of a series as like Star Wars or something. I see they're setting up a lot of cool things, and I'm excited for that.
Continuing on with our conversation of the best films of the past year, we have my friend Dendy here. Jackson, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good. So, Dendy is a big movie watching guy. Would you describe yourself as that, or do you think you're more laid back when it comes to movies?
Well, I mean, in the past like year to year and a half, I really like picked it up in terms of how many movies I watch, especially in theater. So I've definitely been getting into it recently.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that. And I feel like as streaming makes things become more available, that I think that everyone is starting to consume more media in that kind of way. So how about you take it away? Describe to us your list. Take it away.
All right. Well, number one, there's a lot of people number one, but Avatar: The Way of Water. I just thought like the cinematics were just like so breathtaking to me, and I'm like a total sucker for cinematics. I know some people like reviewed like there being plot holes and stuff like that, but that didn't really bother me just because I was so like distracted by the beautiful scenes and stuff that Cameron came up with. Um, and that was like breathtaking to me. Number two is Puss in Boots.
Nice. Nice.
um, I watched it twice in theater. And one of the times in 3D, which was really weird. I've never seen an animated movie in 3D, but anyways, um, I just love the movie in general. I don't really have any like thing specific to say other than the character development was just like on point, in my opinion. I really enjoyed watching it. I never like it didn't feel like dragging ever. And third is Top Gun Maverick.
Nice.
I saw that earlier in the year, and that was just like mind blowing. I love planes and stuff like that. I want to be a aerospace engineer, so huge nerd about it. And that was just like super awesome to see all those planes and missions. And I like the first one. The second one blew it out of the water, so that was awesome. Fourth movie is probably Babylon. I know it
Wow.
was long. I know it was long, and it dragged throughout like the second hour, like 45-minute mark.
Mm.
It started dragging, but I just like really like the artsy kind of creative style. I think it takes a really, really confident director to like take on such like a huge movie. Um, and some of the characters are just like really unique, and it felt like there are some deeper messages and stuff like that. And I like what it said about Hollywood. Um, I just liked it a whole lot.
All right, great picks, Dendy. I agree. Babylon was definitely an experience to be beheld in the theaters. So how about you, Jacob? What do you agree with any of those picks, or do you have your own?
I actually like Dendy's list a lot. Puss in Boots. Unlike you guys, I haven't been able to see it yet, but you guys give it all the rave, and I've seen great things about it. So I'm really excited when I get around to see that. And then while we were talking during the break, Babylon. I really like that pick because of how divisive it is. Because me and Dendy were talking about it. So I liked his list a lot. But for mine, I have a little bit of a different list than the ones that have been presented so far. So I'll just go from number one first. So my number one on the year is After Sun, with Paul Mescal and Frankie Coro. A24 did it. It's mainly British film. It's not very wide in the U.S. yet, but if you're able to watch it, please go do. It's one of the best movies I've seen like the past 5 years for me. It's just incredible. Number two, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but my number two is Cha Cha Real Smooth, from Cooper Raiff, that came out in May. I really loved Shithouse a lot, and I think he just knows how to write a struggling young adult, considering probably he lived that life, and he's really good at like able to write and channel what I connected with in this story. And I really like that a lot. It was a big surprise for me, so I'm really glad it was able on that list. And then number three, like a lot of people, I have Everything Everywhere All at Once. There's nothing at this point in the year really more to say than just it's incredible. Everything about it just works, and it's awesome. And then for number four, I took one of a more surprising one because it just surprised me this year, and I really enjoyed it. Didn't think anything of it, and that's Barbarian, that came out in September. It really took me by surprise. I'm really glad that I just didn't watch any of the trailers for it and just kind of went in blind. I think that's the best way to go watch it, just because of how uncertain it is. So yeah, my four list: After Sun, Cha Cha Real Smooth, Everything Everywhere, and then Barbarian for my list.
Definitely a great list. I was surprised at Cha Cha Real Smooth on there. It was a phenomenal movie, and I really can't say enough good things about it. So for me personally, I'm going to start in reverse order, work my way down to number one. So number four, I'd say The Batman.
Okay.
I think this film is really unique in that it delivers a very different portrayal of the character than we've ever seen before. I mean, Christopher Nolan's is a great portrayal, but this one really got to what Batman is through and through, which is a detective first and foremost. And the way it was kind of able to blend superhero genre with grimy, like crime thriller was great. It was 3 hours, saw it in IMAX one night with my friends, and we had an absolute blast. That scene with the Batmobile rumbling with the IMAX surround sound is like top 5 theater experiences for me. And it's really just an engaging movie where the length you don't really feel. I mean, it feels like it flies by in an instant. So I really love that film. So number three, I saw back at Sundance in January. It was The Worst Person in the World. I have loved this ever since I first watched it. I've watched it multiple times. Something about the way it's written is very, very unique and different from most major Hollywood productions currently. It's a very great rom-com blending a bunch of the genre together, where it's a lot of comedic moments and a lot of romance moments blending together well. Renetta Reinsve is a great actress. I mean, she won Best Actress at Cannes and was it's a phenomenal film. So at number two, just like Dendy said, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I cannot overstate enough how I went into this film expecting to hate this, considering the fact the first Puss in Boots sucks and I'm not a Shrek guy. I was expecting to really dislike it based on those facts alone. I saw it like a month early. It was released in December and I saw it in November. And I walked out with like 3 of my friends and we were in shock at how mind blowing it is. Taking the animated format and translating it into a film that's more mature and grounded than we were expecting. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is one of my favorite films of all time. Seeing it like directly reference that film made the inner film buff in me kind of freak out a little bit and like appreciate it more. Has great discussions of morality and facing death in a very complex character study. And I mean, I have to shout out the villain of the film, not to spoil anything, but is one of the best antagonists I've seen all year. It's absolutely chilling whenever he's on screen. And then number one, I have to go with the classic pick. I saw it back in March of 2022, and I have loved it ever since. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't think you can say anything else about this film that hasn't been said already. It's so well done that it really just is a lot of movie in the span of that runtime, but it manages to capture everything so well that it really just kind of works. It's the most complex movie I've seen in a while where it fits everything together all at once, basically. And it really is one of those films where you take a step back afterwards and you just appreciate it because it kind of moves forward the art of cinema. Like, this is what movies are about. This is what more movies should strive to be. So I've loved it ever since then, and it's just a great film. All right. Thank you so much, Dendi, for joining us to talk about your 4 favorites. And thank you guys so much for either watching or listening to this podcast, whoever you are streaming it. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow us on that page where we'll be updating all our episodes whenever we release them. And if you're watching on our YouTube page, subscribe down below so you can be notified whenever we upload a new episode. And do you have anything else to say, Jacob?
Pretty much just thank you guys for tuning in. We're excited for this journey, and we hope you guys will enjoy it along with us. So thanks, guys, and awesome.
All right. See you guys in the next one.